Hi everybody. So this video is long overdue. We're going to be looking at red gear, when to start it up, how to progress your gear, what you should be working on, and how to make sure you're not wasting your materials. So let's get started by looking at my gear and going from there. So we got a little update. Oh, sorry, that's sanctuary gear. We'll talk about that too, actually. So I'm full red gear. As my previous video, I've been full red gear for a while. I've been ranking it up. As you can see, my weapon is R13. These stats are rolled for R13. And I know I've said in the past that skipping every level is worth doing that, and I still believe that. I just didn't like my R12 stats too much, and I wanted to give this a new shot. So this is my R13 weapon, and how I got it to R13 is basically I use exile bosses. You can kill one every 3 hours to be able to farm up materials. I kill the bosses ahead of schedule, so if I have an R12 weapon, I'm going after R13 bosses and grinding that. Just by getting the weapon, you end up getting the ores by recycling the R13s. And yeah, so basically that's it. And that's how I'm ahead for the R13. Then we have my necklace, which is R11. R11 shoulders. R11 gloves. I'm still working on getting my boots to R11. The emblem is based on the storyline, so it's at R10 currently. I have not unlocked R11 yet. Then I have the helmet at R11. Chest piece at R11. Legs at R11. R10. Also still working on that. Ring at R10. And earrings at R11. So, the number one question is, when do I start ranking up my gear? As far as the weapon goes, as soon as possible. At Reborn 170, you unlock the ability to recast your gear. And generally you'll be at R7 when that happens. R7 gear, when you recast it, it does not allow you to lock stats, but when you're at R8, it allows you to lock your stats. So if you have an R7 red weapon at 4-star or 5-star, I would recommend waiting until you get it to R8 to reroll your stats. Then we have other pieces of gear to rank up. And that's going to be dictated based off of how many scrolls you have and how much materials you have available to you. So what I would recommend overall is you get your weapon to red as soon as possible. That way you're putting out as much damage as possible. And then you start considering other pieces of gear. I went full red, attempted to go full red at R8. And then pushed forward. I wasn't able to complete my full set of 4-star R8 gear red during that level bracket. By level bracket, I'm talking about the fact that I am R13, not R13. I am only able to craft R11 currently. So because of my current level, I can make R11 gear. So if I was, say, having a piece of gold gear and my server is, and my level dictates that I can craft R11 gear, I would then craft my R11 gear and rank it up to red. The star crystal cost is the same no matter what piece of gear you're going at and what rank you're going at for that piece of gear. It's dictated based off of level. So if it's at R7, it's 45 stones, I believe, star crystals, which are these guys right over here. and then R8 is 50, and then it keeps going up. The reason why it's the same is because when you're going to rank up your gear, it's going to cost star crystals. So here, for me to go from R10 to R11, it's going to cost me 30 star crystals. If I wanted to make a gold piece up to R11, it's going to roughly cost, not up to R11, but if I wanted to make an R11 gold piece, rank up to 4-star red, it's going to cost, I believe it's 100 star crystals. Going based off of word of mouth, I actually don't know the exact number. But in reality, if I had spent 50 star crystals at rank 8 and then ranked it up to 9, 10, and then 11, we're going to be looking at roughly the same cost of star crystals as if I were to just take my gold piece of gear and go from gold to red at R11. So that's why we come to the conclusion that the star crystals pricing will remain the same. And then you have your armor scrolls and your ore. So the ore, the reason why you're going to be looking at crafting your gold piece at R11, if that's your level, is because the ore that you're obtaining from dungeons and everything else is R11. Going back, so backtracking bosses, maybe doing older dungeons and all that stuff is actually just hurting you. Mostly because the gold gear you get from older dungeons, from other bosses, gives you less star crystal fragments. So you won't be able to rank up your gear as quickly. You might be able to get the ore, and sure, you can get the armor scrolls, but the star crystals will set you back quite a bit. And unless you're planning on spending on those, it's best to just go at getting your 4-star red when it's easily available to you. Every rank up in gear gives more star crystal fragments, so the higher the rank of the gear, the more star crystals you'll be getting, and it becomes easier as you get higher in ranks. It makes up for the fact that it's costing a lot more to be able to rank it up. So it's all balanced as far as the crafting system goes. So why R8? Why not R9 or R10? The biggest reason is recasting. And the simple feature of being able to lock one stat. So for instance, I get nature damage, and I'm comfortable with the fact that there's some missing space in this bar, but I say I've rolled 4 times and I keep getting ice damage, but I'm a nature warrior. So I get my nature damage red. I want to lock it in place and then just keep going. That's honestly the best feature to being able to progress your gear and get the stats that you're looking for so you can min-max your stats and keep growing. Now, the difference in stats and the reason why I still recommend to skip at least one tier is because if we go over here, we're going to go to Barry, and we're going to look at her R12 weapon, which she and I actually play together, so I have full access to her account, and we did this together. But her weapon is R12. We freshly re-rolled it because she just went to Thunder Miko. I'm going to be making a future video on that. And we re-rolled her stats. Every single stat in this weapon is maximum. That means the bar is completely full 100%. Okay? Now, if you compare it directly to what I have on my weapon, for instance, the elemental mastery damage on her weapon is 1,154 versus the elemental damage mastery is 1,302. So that's 150, 148 if you really want to penny pinch on that. It's not the end of the world. You don't need to make your weapon R13 just so you can get a little bit more elemental mastery. This way you're able to save up your recast stones and you can really use them when they're needed. Then we have 962 attack compared to my 1112. Again, it's not a substantial increase. So you will see more of an increase when she gets her weapon from R12 to R13 and then up to R14. And then she rerolls it because all those stats will be significantly higher than her current rolled R12 weapon. And that's going to be the most bang for your buck, especially if you're locking in stats, you're spending diamonds, and you're using those recast stones. Recast stones will be in the limited time shop. It's different based on server and when your server launched. For my server, it's every Monday and Tuesday. But there's going to be 2 dedicated days where in the limited time shop you can purchase recast stones. If you are looking to spend, that is definitely worth purchasing. If you're not looking to spend, running your standard dungeons in your story mode gives recast stones. It's roughly every 10 runs gives you 1 recast stone. So it's not really the biggest payout. You honestly get a better payout when you meld, which is under alchemy right here. So melding gives more recast stones, in my opinion, from what I've seen so far. And back. So that's why I chose R8. I feel like R8 is a great time to start investing in the rest of your gear. And now let's say you don't have enough resources to upgrade all your gear, right? If you don't have enough resources to upgrade all your gear, well, there should be a priority, and there is. So my priority that I've come up with my friends Jinx and with Barry is first your weapon, and then if you want to do a piece of armor, you're going to do your gloves because it gives hit rating, HP, and the most important part, the passive stats that you're recasting are all damage type stats. Okay? So this way you're maximizing your damage, you're able to kill harder bosses, and it's going to let you farm more effectively. Then after that, if you're still looking at armor, we're going to be looking at shoulders because again, it's offensive stats for the base stat. So you're getting HP, and for me, it's going to be P attack because I'm melee or physical damage. But then the stats are going to be defensive stats that are going to be able to make me a little bit stronger so then I can take hits from those stronger bosses that I'm killing. And then after the shoulders, we're going to be looking at the helmet because again, it's HP and P attack or M attack if you're a caster. So you're boosting your attack, but you're also getting defensive stats. After that, you're really looking for, as far as gear-wise, the chest piece, the legs, or the boots. Those 3 pieces offer all the same stats. They're all defensive, pure defensive stats. How I would dictate it is you're maybe doing hell runs and you've gotten a lot of chest pieces. You're able to star them up easily. You don't have to craft them as often. And you're able to convert them to red because you have the star crystals. I would go that route over crafting something from the first tier all the way up. It's going to be a lot better for you, and it's going to save in the long run. Then, if you're not looking at gear anymore and you have enough accessory scrolls, the order that I would recommend for upgrading your accessories, which is the neck, the ring, and the earring, would be the neck first, as purely because you're getting your P attack and M attack and your hit rating. Those 3 stats are great. The random stats that you're re-rolling are always going to be offensive stats, and then you're going to see the same thing for the ring and the earring. For the re-roll stats are going to be offensive, but they're also basic stats of defensive. So you got physical defense, magic defense, and dodge. And the same exact thing for the earring. All right? So generally, rule of law is weapon, gloves, shoulders, helmet for gear, for armor, excuse me. When you have the scrolls, Say you had enough scrolls for for one piece of jewelry, one piece of armor, and of course your weapon. So now you're going to be doing your weapon to red 4-star. You're going to be doing your necklace to red 4-star. And then you're going to be making your gloves red 4-star. I'm recommending doing 4-star reds because getting it to a 5-star red, the only benefit for it being a 5-star red is the fact that there is no more level requirement for the gear. So that's how I can get my weapon to R13. So the first 5-star item that you should definitely have is your weapon. Get your weapon up to 5-star because you're only farming one set of scrolls. You only have one piece of gear that needs those kinds of scrolls. And then you have the star crystals, of course. But it's easier to farm a weapon. You go kill the weapon boss in Exile or any kind of boss that drops weapons, and you just continue to farm your weapon up. All right, other than that, there's really not much more for that. You just want to spend wisely, use your star crystals wisely, and go at the pace that you want to go. Control and budget your gear, and don't worry about making everything red right away. There's a huge paywall behind making all your gear 5-star reds early on, and it's honestly not worth it. Everybody can get there. It's not the end of the world if you have a couple pieces of gold gear. As evidence, we have Jinx. Jinx has slowly been working on his gear, but as you can see, his power is not weak at all. He has an R13 weapon. He has R11. Actually, I believe today he got everything R11. Yes, he did. So he has all his gear at R11, but he still has 2 gold pieces. That's perfectly fine. Now he's going to be working on, it looks like he's working on his legs because they're at 2-star. And his boots are at 1-star. So when he has enough star crystals, he has enough armor scrolls, and he has enough ore, he'll be able to get at least one more piece, more than likely up to red 5-star or 4-star, depending on how he feels. Note that he did make everything 5-star red. You'd get a little bit more stats out of the recasting. So he decided, I'm just going to make everything 5-star red, and then I'll get the most bang out of my buck for recasting. Again, unless you're spending heavily in your recasting, and unless you're spending heavily in your star crystals, just get them all to 4-star red, and then slowly get them all up to 5-star red once they're full red. It's the best way to go about it, in my opinion. That's what I did, and by the time I was at R10, I had everything at 5-star red, and I had everything re-rolled the way I wanted it. So, again, it's all up to you in your pocket and enjoying the game as you're going. All right, that covers gear. I hope this video helped everybody, and I hope everybody learned something. Please post comments below. Please ask as many questions as you like. My next video is going to be based on rotations. We're going to cover my warrior and some rotations and show you guys how I'm playing and what I'm going after and the kind of stat priority I'm going after with my gear. Thanks